My girlfriend said, I want to see other people. After 2 years together, I said understood. Then started dating her best friend. She panicked. Wait, that's not what I meant. But I was already gone. I'm Aaron, 28M. She's Emily, 26F. We'd been together just over 2 years. Lived together for 1. Nothing dramatic on paper. No cheating scandals, no screaming matches, no broken plates. Just a slow build-up of her acting like she was auditioning for something better while I was already cast as the boring constant. That night, she was leaning against the counter scrolling on her phone, sighing loudly like she wanted me to ask what was wrong. I didn't. I was tired. Work had been long, and honestly, I'd learned that asking usually led to some speech about how she felt stuck or uninspired lately. She finally looked up and said, I've been doing a lot of thinking. That's never a good sentence. She told me she loved me, but said it the way people say no offense, right before saying something offensive. Then she crossed her arms and said, I think I want to see other people. No pause. No tears. Just that. Like she was asking to switch phone plans. I asked what that meant exactly. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic already. According to her, she didn't want to break up. She just wanted options. Space. Validation. To know she still had it. She actually laughed when she said that last part. I remember nodding slowly, more out of surprise than understanding. She kept talking, explaining how this was normal, how lots of couples do this, how I should be confident enough to handle it. She even said, if you're really secure, this shouldn't bother you. That's when something in me went quiet. I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I didn't ask for rules or boundaries. I just said, understood. She looked almost disappointed, like I'd skipped the part where I was supposed to beg or panic. She smirked and said, see, I knew you'd be mature about it. What she didn't realize was that understood wasn't agreement. It was the moment I stopped being hers. The weird thing is, nothing exploded after that conversation. Emily went back to her phone like she'd just asked me to pick up milk on the way home. I stood there for a minute longer than necessary, then went into the bedroom and shut the door. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was heartbroken, but because my brain kept replaying her tone. Casual. Certain. Like she'd already decided how this was supposed to go and assumed I'd follow the script. The next morning, she acted almost cheerful. Made coffee. Humped. Asked if I wanted eggs. When I didn't answer right away, she said, don't make this weird, okay? That sentence pissed me off more than the night before. Over breakfast, she laid out her expectations like she was a manager delegating tasks. We'd still live together, still split rent, still go to events as a couple for appearances, but she'd be free to talk to people, go on dates, see what's out there. She emphasized that I shouldn't rush into anything myself because men get attached too easily. She actually said that. I asked if she had someone in mind. She scoffed and said, God, no. Why do you always assume that? Then she checked her phone under the table and smiled at a notification. I didn't push it. I just nodded and said I had to head to work. At lunch, my phone buzzed. A text from her. Just so you know, I might stay out late tonight. Don't wait up. No, love you. No explanation. That's when I realized this wasn't about exploration or growth or whatever buzzword she'd Googled. This was about leverage. She wanted the safety of me and the excitement of everyone else. She wanted to feel chased without risking being alone. That afternoon, I didn't work much. I sat at my desk and quietly started untangling my life from hers in my head. What was shared? What wasn't? What could be separated cleanly? When I got home that night, she wasn't there. Her shoes were gone. The apartment felt lighter without her energy filling every room. Around 11 p.m., I got another text. You okay? You've been really quiet today. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Yeah, I typed. Just processing. She reacted with a thumbs up. That's when I knew this wasn't a phase for her. And it definitely wasn't a negotiation for me. By the end of that week, Emily fully leaned into her new personality. Not a breakup glow-up, more like entitlement with lip gloss. She started coming home later, tossing her keys louder than necessary, announcing things I didn't ask about. Mark from work bought me a drink, she said one night, kicking off her shoes. Don't worry, though. He's not my type. I didn't ask who Mark was. Another night, she spent 20 minutes getting dressed just to run errands. Came back smelling like cologne that definitely wasn't mine. When I raised an eyebrow, she snapped. You said you understood. Don't start policing me now. That word again. Understood. She treated it like a signed contract. What really got under my skin was how she'd test me. She'd casually mention how someone flirted with her, then watch my face like she was waiting for jealousy to kick in. When it didn't, she'd look irritated, almost offended. "You're being weird," she told me on Saturday morning. "Most guys would care." I shrugged. "You wanted honesty. This is it." She rolled her eyes and muttered something about me being emotionally checked out. That was rich, coming from the woman actively shopping for replacements while keeping my side of the bed warm. That afternoon, her best friend Lily came over. Lily had been around our entire relationship. Movie nights, birthdays, inside jokes I was never fully part of. Emily always said Lily was basically family, which in hindsight should have been a warning. Emily disappeared into the shower, leaving Lily and me alone in the living room. Awkward silence stretched until Lily finally said, "So, how are you holding up?" I laughed once quietly. "I'm fine." She studied me for a second longer than necessary. "Emily can be a lot," she said carefully. That was the first crack. I didn't say anything, but Lily's expression softened in a way that felt unfamiliar, like she was seeing me as a person instead of Emily's accessory. When Emily came back, wrapped in a towel, she snapped at Lily for sitting too close to me on the couch. Lily raised an eyebrow but didn't respond. Later that night, Emily accused me of acting distant in front of her friends. I told her, calmly, that I was just matching the energy she'd set. She didn't like that answer. She went to bed angry, turning her back to me like a punishment. I lay there staring at the ceiling, finally realizing something important. She wanted me waiting, and I was already leaving. She just didn't know it yet. Things shifted the following Tuesday. Emily was running late for something she called a casual hang, which apparently required a full outfit change and makeup redo. She was pacing the bedroom, complaining that nothing fit right, when her phone buzzed on the bed. She was in the bathroom when I saw the screen light up. "Lily, are you sure you're okay with all this?" I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. The preview was enough. When Emily came out, she grabbed it too fast. Not subtle. She glanced at me, eyes sharp, like she was checking whether I'd noticed. I just picked up my keys and said I was heading out. "To where?" she asked. "Out." She scoffed. Wow, real communicative. That night, I met a friend for a drink. No drama, no flirting, just noise and normal conversation. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like myself again. When I got home, Emily was already there, sitting on the couch with her arms crossed. "You didn't answer my texts," she said. I checked my phone. 2 messages, both sent less than an hour ago. "I was busy," I replied. "With what?" she pressed. I looked at her and smiled slightly. "Why does it matter?" That did it. She launched into a speech about respect, about how this arrangement only worked if we were transparent. I let her talk herself in circles until she finally said, "I just don't like feeling like I'm losing you." That was the moment. Not because it hurt, because it clarified everything. She didn't care about me. She cared about control. The next day, Lily messaged me directly. "Hey, I hope this isn't weird. I just wanted to check in." I stared at the message longer than I should have. Then I replied honestly, "It's not weird. I'm okay. Just figuring things out." She responded almost immediately. "You deserve better than being treated like a backup plan." I read that line 3 times. That night, Emily announced she'd be spending the weekend away with friends. She said it casually, like she was daring me to react. I told her, "Have fun." She frowned. "You don't even care, do you?" I didn't answer, because the truth was, I already had plans, and none of them included waiting around anymore. Emily left Friday morning with a suitcase that was way too big for a weekend. She kissed me on the cheek like she was doing me a favor and said, "Don't sulk while I'm gone." The door closed, and the apartment went quiet. I didn't miss her. That surprised me more than anything. Saturday afternoon, Lily texted again. This time it wasn't small talk. "Do you want to get coffee?" Just as friends. I hesitated for all of 5 seconds before saying yes. We met at a small cafe neither Emily nor I ever went to. Lily's suggestion. Neutral ground. Smart. She looked different without Emily next to her. Calmer. Less guarded. Like she wasn't playing a role. We talked for 2 hours. Not about Emily at first. About work, stupid childhood stories, how exhausting it was to always be the reasonable one in a friendship. Eventually, though, it came up. "She doesn't mean to hurt people," Lily said carefully. "But she also doesn't stop herself." That felt accurate in a way that stung. I told Lily about the night Emily said she wanted to see other people. About how fast she decided my feelings were an acceptable casualty. Lily shook her head slowly, like she'd suspected this outcome for a while. She hates when things don't revolve around her, she said. Especially people. When we stood to leave, there was a moment, just a moment, where our hands brushed. Nothing dramatic, but it lingered in my mind the whole drive home. Emily came back Sunday night, loud and energized, tossed her bag down and announced she'd had so much fun. She didn't ask about my weekend. She didn't need to. She assumed nothing happened without her. Later that night, she scrolled through her phone and said, "Lily's been kind of distant. Weird, right?" I kept my voice neutral. "Maybe she's busy." Emily narrowed her eyes. "You didn't talk to her, did you?" I met her gaze. "We got coffee." The silence that followed was sharp. Her tone turned cold. "So now you're crossing lines?" I almost laughed. "You set the lines," I said. "Remember?" She stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I sat on the couch, calm in a way that would have terrified her if she'd noticed. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was choosing, and Emily was starting to feel it. Emily didn't speak to me for almost 2 days after that. Not the dramatic silent treatment with sighs and slammed cabinets. This was colder. Strategic. She answered questions with one-word responses, avoided eye contact, and suddenly started taking phone calls in the bathroom with the fan on. Tuesday night, she finally broke. "So," she said, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. "Are you sleeping with her?" I looked up from my laptop, genuinely confused for a second. "Who?" She scoffed. "Don't play dumb. Lily." There it was. The panic, thinly disguised as accusation. "No," I said calmly. "We got coffee." "That's emotional cheating." She snapped immediately, like she'd rehearsed it. I almost admired the audacity. "You wanted to see other people," I reminded her. "You said we shouldn't police each other." "That's different," she said too fast. "She's my best friend." I closed my laptop and stood up. "And I'm your boyfriend." Or I was. "You didn't seem too concerned about that distinction." Her face flushed. "I didn't say I wanted you replacing me." That was the most honest thing she'd said in weeks. She paced the living room, spiraling now, talking about trust, about loyalty, about how Lily was probably always jealous of her. She said Lily was trying to steal my attention, my validation, my side. I listened without interrupting. Then I said, "You're not upset because I crossed a line. You're upset because I didn't stay where you left me." She froze. The next day, Lily texted me again. Short. "Careful. I'm sorry if I caused problems." I replied immediately. "You didn't. I should have drawn boundaries sooner." She didn't respond for a while. When she did, it was just, "I'm here if you need anything." Emily noticed my mood shift that evening. She tried to be charming again. Cooked dinner. Sat closer. Touched my arm, like muscle memory would do the work for her. "You know," she said lightly, "this open thing doesn't have to be permanent." I looked at her and finally saw it clearly. She didn't want freedom. She wanted me on standby. And for the first time since this all started, I knew exactly what I was going to do next. I didn't tell Emily what I was planning. I didn't announce a decision or make some dramatic declaration. I just quietly started disentangling my life from hers. Wednesday morning, I changed my direct deposit. That night, I moved my important documents into my backpack. Thursday, I emailed the landlord to ask about my options. Every move was calm, methodical, final. Emily, meanwhile, sensed the shift and spiraled. She oscillated between icy silence and forced affection. 1 minute she'd ignore me completely. The next she'd lean against me on the couch and say things like, "You know no one knows me like you do." I didn't respond to that either. Friday night, she tried a different angle. "I told my mom about us," she said casually, watching my face. I looked up. "About what exactly?" She hesitated. "About everything. The open thing. She thinks you're being immature." I nodded slowly. Good to know. That wasn't the reaction she wanted. She slammed her glass down. "Why are you acting like you don't care if I walk away?" I finally met her eyes. "Because you already did." That shut her up. Later that night, Lily called me. Not texted. Called. "I just wanted to say," she said quietly, "I'm stepping back from Emily for a bit. She's angry, and she's blaming me for things that aren't mine to carry." I understood that feeling all too well. "You don't owe anyone loyalty at the expense of yourself," I told her. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. Sunday morning, Emily confronted me again. Cornered me in the kitchen, voice sharp, eyes frantic. "Are you planning to leave me?" she asked. I took a second before answering. "I'm planning to stop pretending this is a relationship." She laughed, but it sounded brittle. "You'll regret this." You're not exactly a catch without me. That line might have crushed me once. Instead, it clarified everything. That afternoon, I packed a bag and left for the night. No argument. No explanation. Just a note on the counter that said, "I'll be back tomorrow to get the rest." My phone blew up within an hour. Missed calls. Angry texts. Then panic. And finally, "We need to talk. This isn't what I meant." But by then, I was already gone. When I came back the next afternoon, Emily was already home, sitting rigidly on the couch like she'd been waiting for hours. Her eyes were red, but her posture was defensive, like she hadn't decided yet whether she was the victim or the authority. "We need to set rules," she said immediately. No hello. No apology. I set my bag down and looked at her. "Rules for what?" "For whatever this is," she snapped. "Because you don't just get to disappear and make me the bad guy." That was classic Emily, panic wrapped in accusation. "I didn't disappear," I said evenly. "I left. I told you I would." She stood up, pacing again. "This whole thing got out of hand. That's not what I meant when I said I wanted to see other people." I waited. Let the silence do the work. "I meant, casually," she continued. "Like flirting. Validation. Not you actually moving on." There it was. Finally said out loud. "So when you said other people," I replied, "you meant other people for you." She threw her hands up. "Why are you being like this? You're twisting my words." "No," I said calmly. "I'm taking them seriously." She stared at me like I'd betrayed some unspoken agreement. "You're really going to throw this away over a misunderstanding?" I picked up one of my boxes and headed toward the bedroom. It stopped being a misunderstanding when you got angry that I wasn't waiting. That's when she cracked. "You think Lily wants you?" she snapped, voice sharp and bitter. "She's always lived in my shadow. This is just her trying to win something." I turned slowly. "You don't get to talk about people like that." She laughed, harsh and ugly. "Oh, please. You don't actually think this ends with you happier, do you?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I packed quietly while she spiraled behind me. Accusations, guilt trips, sudden tears, promises she clearly hadn't prepared ahead of time. At one point she said, "If you leave, don't expect me to wait around." I looked at her and said, "You already didn't." That shut her up. By the time I carried the last box to my car, she was sitting on the floor, phone in hand, probably drafting messages she never thought she'd have to send. And for the first time since this started, I felt completely free. I stayed with a friend for a few days, long enough for the emotional dust to settle. Emily didn't give me that courtesy. My phone kept lighting up like a malfunctioning alarm. Apologies stacked on top of insults, voice notes swinging between tears and anger. One message stood out. "Can we please talk like adults? You're ruining everything." That was the moment I blocked her. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. A day later, Lily reached out. Just one message. "I heard you moved out. Are you okay?" I told her the truth. "Yeah, I am now." We met again, this time without pretending it was just coincidence. Dinner. Simple place. No tension, no performance. Just two people talking honestly about how exhausting it is to be orbiting someone who only feels stable when others are beneath them. Lily told me Emily had lost it when she realized I was actually gone. Crying. Bargaining. Calling friends to rewrite the story before they heard it from me. She told people I was confused, going through something, that I'd misinterpreted the whole open relationship thing. I wasn't surprised. What surprised me was how little it mattered. Emily texted Lily at some point during our dinner. Lily showed me the screen without comment. "Tell him this isn't what I meant. I just wanted to feel wanted. He's taking it too far." I shook my head slowly. "That's the thing," I said. She never wanted to lose me. She just wanted to remind herself she could replace me. Lily nodded. "She never thought you'd walk." Emily tried one last time 2 days later. New number. Long message. Softer tone. Promises. "I'm ready to choose you now." That line sealed it. I didn't respond. Because when someone says they're ready to choose you now, what they're really saying is they didn't before. And I wasn't an option anymore. It's been a few months now, and life is quiet in a good way. No tension humming in the background. No emotional audits. No feeling like I'm auditioning to keep my own relationship. Emily tried to circle back a couple more times through mutual friends. I heard the line secondhand. She didn't mean it like that. She was just going through a phase. She thought you were strong enough to handle it. That last one made me laugh. Strength isn't swallowing disrespect. Strength is walking away the first time someone tells you, clearly, that you're optional. Lily and I took things slow. No dramatic announcement. No overlap that needed defending. Just honesty. Calm. Mutual choice. The kind that doesn't need rules or leverage to survive. One night, weeks later, Lily showed me a message Emily had sent her out of nowhere. I still don't understand how he could do this to me. I shook my head when I read it. Not angry, not smug, just done. Emily never panicked because she loved me. She panicked because for the first time, her words had consequences she couldn't flirt her way out of. She wanted to see other people. I said understood, and I meant it, because understanding doesn't always look like agreement. Sometimes it looks like leaving and not looking back.